Keep speaking your pain until it doesn't hurt anymore. And that is healing. The best part is that somebody else is going to hear that and they're going to be inspired to heal as well. My pain wasn't enough for me to not want to be here. So we can't compare our trauma, because however that trauma affected that young man, it affected him so much that he chose not to be here anymore. Nobody can keep you in that victimhood. That's your choice. All the abuse that I went through, it made me the most strongest human being that I know, right? Yeah. And it showed me how unbreakable I am. Some things happen and some things are endured to put us in a position to change the world. And I know the feeling like this pain's never going to go away, but it does. The purpose of life is to live, period.
I'm Neal Tricarico, and my wife, Samara, and I are grateful you're here for this unique podcast experience. We share the story of the loss of our son, Anthony, the movement that has grown out of the unimaginable grief, and the legacy we're building so that no teen ever feels this alone or lost again. We're here to give parents the resources to support their children and the communities around them, because it truly takes a tribe.
The Endurant Show is a testament to post-traumatic growth, the belief that even in the aftermath of deep grief, healing and purpose can emerge. It's a space for truth, connection, and hope, where real conversations around mental health, autism, suicide prevention, and resilience take center stage.
Healing doesn't always start with a diagnosis. It often starts with being heard, and we've created a community just for that.
Each episode, we sit down with teens, parents, experts, and advocates to share honest stories, tools, and resources. Because we believe that awareness is the cure, you don't have to hold your grief alone, and you don't have to run from it.
Through these conversations, we're building a community grounded in understanding, support, and lasting change. If you've ever felt alone, unheard, or unsure of how to keep going, this space is for you. Welcome to the Endurant Show. I'm Neal Tricarico.
And I'm Samara Tricarico.
Today's guest, Sonny Von Cleveland, is a speaker, author, trauma survivor, and advocate for healing through truth and radical self-ownership. A survivor of childhood abuse and a former inmate who served 18 years in prison, Sonny has rebuilt his life through advocacy, inclusion, and deep service. His book, Hey White Boy, Conversations of Redemption, and his upcoming show, Conversations of Redemption, are part of a growing movement that centers radical transformation and healing through storytelling, truth-telling, and justice work. Sonny and his wife, Claire, co-founded frisky business Palm Springs Cat Cafe, which doubles as a certified neurodiverse workplace and inclusive community hub. Together, they model trauma-informed leadership and advocate for creating redemptive, neurodiverse safe spaces in business and society at large. Well, Sonny, it's such a pleasure to have you, and I've been looking forward to this interview for quite some time. Your story is one of the most raw, redemptive journeys we've ever featured on the Endurant Show, and we're so honored to have you today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure, and I always appreciate it when a show is coming from a place of vulnerability and acceptance in an effort to help teach. And I'm very honored and humbled to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, let's begin, Sonny, right where you always do. Who is Sonny Von Cleveland today? There's a lot we could say about you, but I wanted to start with what you want people to know. So for someone who's meeting you for the first time, like our audience is, where would you like to begin your story?
I'm a human being that has a desire to help other human beings discover the joy of being a human being.
Ah, yes. That resonates so much.
Yeah.
And if you would mind, I know there's a lot to it, but I think it would be really powerful for our audience to understand your early story and how you got to where you are today, helping us humans understand what it really truly means to be a human being?
Sure. I think well, I'll give you the basic rundown. The short form version. If you want the whole version, you can check out my book, Hey White Boy: Conversations of Redemption. I go way in depth into that. Otherwise, I'll be keeping you all busy here for hours.
Sure.
I was a kid that was started to get molested when I was. Turns out I was 3. I thought I was 5. So there will be a revised version of the book coming.
Yeah.
Turns out I was 3, and over the course of, 11 years of my life now, apparently, it happened up until I was 12. It's about 7 men,
Mm.
and, I was, 2, 3 times a week throughout my entire childhood, I was being molested or raped, and it turned me into a very reclusive and abused kid, obviously, with no self-esteem, no self-confidence, and I kept that to myself a lot because as an abused child, we don't know how to use our voice to help ourselves. We look to our parents as protectors, or in my instance, I had a single mom, didn't really have a dad. And I found this source of protection in getting into trouble. When I was
Mm.
7 years old, my brother and I broke into a church in our little town of Carson City, Michigan, and we were charged with felonies in 1988. Um, which still blows my mind. Like, how do you charge a 7-year-old with a felony?
Mm.
But alas, we were charged with breaking and entering and larceny from a building. And I was put on probation for 60 days. And when I was put on probation, all the men that were abusing me went away. I've seen a lot of questions in the past and comments where people are asking me, well, why would you being on probation make them go? Well, I don't know. For the record, I didn't stop to go back and ask them, like, hey, um, um, but what happened in that moment was that I found a source of protection. And, my mother didn't care. Well, I can't say my mother didn't care, but it sure didn't feel like it. Um, and so I just kept getting into trouble. It became my source of safety, right? Like I would break the law, get put on probation. I was safe until I got off
Yeah.
probation. And it just seemed like every time I got off probation, here they come again. And you know, so by the time I was 15 years old, I had like 12 felonies on my record. And the judge was sick of me. And he bound me over to adult court and I was sent to prison when I was 16 years old on July 27th, 1997. And I'd never been taken away before. I'd never been in juvie or any of these other detention facilities. So I didn't know anything about being incarcerated. And it showed. And I was raped the first week I was there by 2 guys at knife point. And it broke something in me. And I became a very violent individual. I'd stabbed one of the guys in the face with a handful of pencils
Mm.
because I just felt in that moment like if I don't do something, this is what is going to be the rest of my existence. Like I'm just going to be victimized constantly. And so, out of more fear than anger, I assaulted him. And what happened because of that changed the trajectory of my life for many, many years. I was ingratiated into gang life and became this very violent person. I started to put on so many masks to protect myself that I lost who myself was. And I just became that individual. And I spent 5.5 years in prison. And when I was 21, the doors were open and I was let go. And I was just a train wreck of a human being. And I didn't know how to be a person. Like I didn't know. I went in 16. I'd grown up not knowing much from the country, and here I am, 21 years old, and I'm supposed to get a job, get a car, get an apartment, open a bank account, get a driver's license, fill out applications. I don't know how to do none of this, and so I resorted to what I knew how to do, and that was be violent and be a gangbanger.
Mm.
And so I got into robbing people and doing harmful things. And for 20 months, I just ran around the United States, just being part of the problem. And got 2 women pregnant. And then 2004, September 2nd, I was charged with 15 more felonies and sent back to prison for 12 more years. And in 2008, I discovered that my brother was having an affair with the mother of my oldest son, her and I had got back together, and I was building a bond and a relationship with my oldest son. And then found out, when he got out, he went and stayed with her, and they started having an affair, and she got pregnant with his kid, and they decided to take my son from me and raised my son thinking that my brother was his father.
Mm.
And so when that happened, I really snapped. And so when I went back to prison the second time, I tried to, because I had started to build this bond with my son. I wanted to be a better person. And
Mm.
I didn't want to be a better human being. I wanted to be a better gangster, right? Like I was
Mm.
like, okay, it's time to be a big boy gangster and not be this young gangbanger and try to be a better human being. And so I started to do, some educational stuff and tried to not be such a hot-headed young violent guy. And when that had happened, when I found out that this is what they were doing, I just gave up. I was like,
Mm.
what there's no point in trying to be a better person. Even if the better person I was trying to be wasn't the good person, it was a better version than what I was.
Mm.
But I just gave up. I was like, there's just no point, right? I lost it. And somebody had stolen all the stuff out of my cell. He went into my cell while I was at work and stole all my stuff, and I took all of my anger out on this poor kid. And it was a very violent assault, and I was drugged to the hole, covered in pepper spray and blood, and thrown into the very end cell in segregation, cell 214. And across the hall from me, cell 215, was a guy who came to the door and just yelled out, "Hey, white boy, come talk to me."
Mm.
And I was very resistant at first, obviously, cussed him out. But every day for like a week, he's calling over several times a day. "Hey, white boy, come on, man. We got down here, man. Come talk to me. Come talk to me." And I just didn't. And I went down, I saw a security classification committee. And these are the people that hear you on your misconducts. And they informed me that the guy was in a coma. And if he didn't make it, they were going to charge me with murder. And I was going to spend the rest of my life in prison. But as it was, they gave me 60 months. Like, you're going to stay in segregation for a minimum of 60 months, and then we'll reassess then. And so as I go back to the cell, he calls over almost immediately. "Hey, white boy, what happened? What happened?" And I'm like, what do you want, dude? What? He's like, "Just come talk to me, man. Let me ask you a question." I said, "What do you want?" And he said, "Why are you so angry?"
Yeah.
I said, what kind of question is that? You've been bothering me this whole time to ask me that? Like, what are you a psychologist or something? Like, I'm in prison. My life sucks. You won't shut up. Like, I'm in the hole.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons I'm angry.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, man, that's why you're mad. And mad is a surface emotion. It's temporary,
Wow. Wow.
right? And anger is something much deeper, and it cuts to your soul. And you are a very angry young man." And I didn't have a response for that. I was like, "Shut up." Like, "I'm not talking to you no more, man. Shut up." And so I went to pacing in my cell, and I couldn't shake the question, like, "Why are you so angry?" I mean, I'm literally such an angry human being. I walk around mad all day, just angry. And I came to the realization that, I've been a victim my whole life from the time I was 3 until now. I'm still a victim. And while that wasn't the right mentality, that's what I had. So I went and I told him, you know, basically my whole life story, and anticipated him being kind of, I don't know, empathetic, excuse me, or caring. But no, he was like, "Ah, well, so what?" It's like, "All right, well, screw you." And he became my mentor. This guy,
Mm.
he schooled me and he taught me so many powerful and profound things. And he shot me over a book. He said, "I want you to read something." He sent me over this book by Viktor Frankl. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. And
Yes.
this book literally changed my life after reading this book and seeing Viktor Frankl's life.
Yeah.
And, going through the sentence that suffering ceases to be suffering the moment you give it a purpose, such is the meaning of sacrifice. That sentence hit me like a Mack truck. Like, if you take the suffering and the abuse that you've been through in your life and you give it a purpose, it's no longer suffering. You're not suffering. And then going through the book, when you read the sentence that when we can no longer control our environment, we are challenged to control this.
Mm.
And I was one of those human beings that thought that emotions are something that happen to you, like you don't have any control over them, and that we just live in this reactive state. And through the process of self-help and self-reflection and meditation and self-forgiveness and going on this journey, I came to realize that emotions are simply signals from the brain giving you information about the world around you. And when you come to that understanding, you then learn that you can control those. And when you can learn to control those, you can take control of your life. And that forgiveness is the secret sauce to everything in the world. To forgiving others, to forgiving yourself. This is where redemption lies. And this is how we can pick ourselves up and move forward. And then accountability. And so I learned all these things, and I went through this metamorphosis of where, the world is abusing me and I'm just existing in it, to I am free in this tiny little cell and I'm changing the world around me. I am having an impact on guards. I'm having an impact in local libraries through my writing. I'm having impacts in the facility, all from this cell that I'm stuck in 24 hours a day. I can't leave the cell. Right. And there was something really profound about that. And I went through this whole metamorphosis. And 19 months into this sentence, I was given the opportunity to teach a class and get out of segregation. And so I took that opportunity and began this life-changing process of teaching and using my voice. I started to learn that speaking is where your healing is at. That this is how we heal. We all have these invisible wounds that we have, and we try our best to heal them with physical, tangible things. And you can't. You can't heal something that you can't see with something you can see. Right? So we try with pharmaceuticals, sex, drugs, gambling, alcohol. We try to take away this invisible pain that we can't see. When we cut ourselves, we get a physical injury, we're okay, right? People have lost their legs. They lost half their face. They've gone through these traumatically physical injuries, but they're okay because they can see the healing happening, right? And when it comes to our internal wounds that we can't see, we cannot see the healing happening, right? It's a feeling. It's not something you can see. And so using our voice is how we heal that. And as hard as it is and as difficult it is, it's the single greatest thing that you can do. Keep speaking your pain until it doesn't hurt anymore. And that is healing. And the best part is that somebody else is going to hear that and they're going to be inspired to heal as well. Right? They're going to know that they're not alone and they're going to be inspired to heal. And so once I started to do that and I started to use my voice, the feeling of pure inner freedom of guilt, from shame, from hatred, from self-loathing, from sadness. It's the most intoxicating feeling in the world, and I cannot shut up, right? Like, I can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I can
Amazing.
talk about being raped and being molested, and because it doesn't hurt.
Right.
I'll cry because I remember the little boy that was being abused, and I know that there are millions of children around this world right now that are being abused, and it breaks my heart, right? It absolutely breaks my heart. And so that's why I cry. But I've also come to the point where I realize that you have to feel your emotions, right? Especially in the realm of men kill themselves at a rate of 500,000 a year on average. That's in the time that we have had this conversation, about 8 people have already killed themselves because they don't speak. We have this shield around us, or this shell that our ego protects us or blocks us from speaking. And I know it's hard, man, but if I can use my life, my story, and the hell that I've been through to inspire another man to say, you know what? I can talk about this too and save a life, it's worth it.
Mhm.
Every single life is worth living. And if I can have an impact on somebody's life, it's worth me telling my story and taking the misplaced ridicule and mockery that some people will foist upon you, right? Sorry,
Wow.
that was a very long,
No,
convoluted answer, but
no.
Absolutely amazing. Your story of transformation, of, forgiveness, of finding your voice and your strength, first through acting out in crime and then through, listening and, not wanting to speak, but then speaking up, feeling that that calling, and then through that finding your strength through your vulnerability, and then
Sure.
creating that invitation to others. I mean, that's so extremely powerful, and it resonates with us, through sharing the story of, our son's suicide. And, there's a lot that other people could project on you, but what you show is such strength through your own forgiveness to yourself that it really doesn't matter when anyone else thinks about your story, because you know that you're helping other people to be able to be vulnerable and to heal as well. And so your voice, through finding it first, it sounds like through writing and sharing, and people saying, hey, this is helping us too. I mean, it awakened something, a giant within you, that the message is so powerful and needs to be heard. So thank you for having that strength.
the thing that I have really attached to lately is what I call, I'm not a trained doctor, but
Mm.
I've coined this theory I have called comparative trauma syndrome,
Mm.
right? And so many people suffer from this because I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that are like, so I've been abused. It's nothing like what you went through, but I've been
Wow.
abused. And the moment you create that narrative in your brain, you're essentially dismissing your own pain and trauma as if it's not worthy of being healed, right? Because you're in the presence of someone else that you think has endured more pain than you. And my common reaction to that is that psychologically and mentally, the worst thing you've ever been through is the exact same as the worst thing I've ever been through. Not
Mm.
all trauma looks the same, right?
Mhm.
But it affects the same. So
Mm.
when we look at somebody like, there's a kid I just read about a few months ago who killed himself because he couldn't live up to his father's academic standard.
Mm.
Oh.
He had a very good life. He was very well taken care of, mom, dad, very good home, beautiful home out here in the west coast of California, beautiful life. But his dad was so hard on him about his being this academic great person that they found him hanging in the garage. And so for me, I use that as a teachable moment that his pain must have been worse than everything I've ever endured in my life because I'm still here. Right? My pain wasn't enough for me to not want to be here. So we can't compare our trauma because however that trauma affected that young man, it affected him so much that he chose not to be here anymore. And you can't compare your trauma, right? You can't do that because that is what leads you to suppression, and the body's going to keep the score, right? It's going to come out in cancer, diabetes. Your bones are going to break down. Your body will shut. You'll have a heart attack. You have an aneurysm. These things, the body is not designed to fail, right? This
Mm.
is the most amazing creation in the history of the world. Is the human body. It's not designed to fail, right? And you can look time and time again at we've seen 95-year-old men and women that have smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day their whole life and drank 6-pack of beer every day since they were 13, and they're in perfect health, right? It's because it's not really what you do to it, it's here, right? Like
Mm.
it's the mentality. If you live in a state of love and kindness and happiness and peace and compassion, that's it. That's the secret sauce to living a long, healthy, beautiful life, right?
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that you've shared that because it's been about 15 months for us, and I've struggled with this idea of comparative trauma. It seems that in our case that people often suggest that whatever they've gone through is not as difficult as what we've gone through. And quite frankly, my man, I too fall prey to that as I listened to your story now multiple times. Like I don't think I would still be here today. It strikes me as far harder, and I'm grateful for that example that you've given. And whether or not you know it, you have become a mentor to me in this way because through this experience, we had this period where between our son was hospitalized and then his ultimate passing, and the community surrounded us with so much love and support and lifted us. And we just sort of naturally started sharing, and I just started sharing vulnerably, and I was emotional and crying, and then I was struggling with like, oh, I don't know, like I shouldn't share this. I'm a guy, I'm a man. And yet I kept getting this feedback. And then that's when our dear friend Nicole shared with me about you. And it's so powerful. One of the most powerful things about how you tell your story is how honest you are. So, I'm curious. I mean, you don't flinch, you don't hide. What is this idea of that you share in Hey White Boy? What does this idea of radical ownership mean to you now?
And so it goes back to the extreme accountability for me.
Mm,
And it's not a very popular opinion. Um, and I mean, I have my own opinions on that, but Freudian psychologists and therapists will tell you that you can't say that. But I take accountability for the 5-year-old me that didn't go running and screaming out of that room.
yeah.
Had I done that, my life would have been completely different. And it's for me, it's a dichotomy because I'm so happy with my life right now. I went through everything
Mhm.
I went through for a reason so that I could be sitting here talking to you. And if I can give you just a moment of peace and a moment of healing through what you do, I'm
Mm,
going to cry.
okay. Mm,
If I can give you a moment of peace through the pain that you've been through,
so many moments.
it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
And so I take accountability for that 5-year-old because you don't get to tell me what I can take responsibility for or what I can't. I'm the one that was in there being raped, not you.
Yeah.
And so if I would have ran out of that room screaming, my life would be different. And so I can forgive myself for not running out of that room screaming because I take the accountability. When you turn around and you say, no, no, you can't do that. That wasn't your fault. Then you're taking away the ability for me to forgive myself,
Mm,
right? Because now I'm just a victim, right?
yeah.
And none of us ever choose to be victims, but every single one of us choose to remain victims, right? Nobody
Yes.
can keep you in that victimhood. That's your
Yeah.
choice. No matter how hard it seems, no matter how hard that mountain is to climb or how hard that fight is, that's your choice. You
Yeah.
don't have to do it, right? And so that extreme accountability for me is I own everything that's ever happened to me and everything that I've ever done because I had a choice in every one of those scenarios and situations. And the result of those things are on me. I don't give my victimizers or my abusers any power. You don't get that power, right?
Mhm.
I don't I
Yeah.
don't I don't give you the blame and I don't give you the fault. I don't give you the glory because you don't get none of it. You were just someone who came into my trajectory and gave me an experience in life that I got to learn from, right?
Mhm.
And I take that and I look back at it now and I'm like, you know what? All the abuse that I went through, it made me the most strongest human being that I know, right?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
showed me how unbreakable I am, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And so that's where that extreme ownership comes from, right? Is you can't break me. If you
Mhm.
think you can, go back through my history and see what I've been through
Yeah.
and take your best shot. Right? You
Yeah.
can. And whatever you do, I'm gonna find out a way to go through there and find out my accountability in that scenario, in that situation, and I'll take it away from you. I'll take it away from my abuser. If you rob me with a gun and you put a gun in my face and steal all my stuff, I'm going to figure out a way that it was my fault for being there. Because when I take that, I give myself the glory of forgiveness. I can forgive myself because I made a dumb decision to be in a dark alley in Chicago and I got robbed. Right? Shouldn't have been there. My fault. Ugh, let it go. I forgive him. I forgive me, and I can move on with my life. And that guilt or that shame or that fear, none of that hangs on. It goes away. And so I get to walk free of any of these emotions that don't have to be there, right? They don't have to stay. And so I can just release them, right?
That's just so it's awesome. I mean, what it sounds to me is like you're highly emotionally intelligent and you've developed an understanding of how to live with yourself in a peaceful and an empowered way. And so you're taking charge in such a way that it's like nothing can stop you, nothing can touch you.
Nothing
You're
can.
creating your own story. I mean, I've
Yeah.
found a few times saying to myself, no one gets to tell me what my grief looks like. And
Facts.
it's you. It's no one gets to tell you what your story is. You're writing your story. You're creating your life.
100%.
And it's very empowering.
And I feel the same way. I feel like so many light bulbs have gone off for me personally in what you've just shared about this radical ownership, because I feel so much guilt and so much shame about the loss. And then also for our son Anthony, he suffered from high functioning autism spectrum disorder, and we've met this most amazing psychiatrist who helped us understand kind of like the same thing that you're saying. It's like when we label these kids, parentheses, we make them a victim. When we say it's a disorder, when we say it's a label, and then you need to go through this therapy to change your behavior to become normal. It strips them of something, and in his case, it creates masking. And what you've shared is,
100%.
yeah, yes, as he was, he never made it to this truth telling part, and I feel like he was so aware of his suicidal ideation and that he wanted to help create or help with suicide prevention. He wanted to call it what it was, and he masked so much. And I just can't help but wonder if he had a mentor or someone like you in his life modeling this type of extreme ownership, maybe he'd still be here. And how do you think we might be able to reach young men like him before it's too late with this kind of thinking?
Uh, I hope I don't catch just a ton of lashback for this, but I always speak.
This is the space for
I
it.
speak from my heart, right? I speak my passion, my feeling, and if your son had a desire to help teach about suicidal ideation, he just he gave you the platform to do it.
Yeah. Yes, and what you said, also what I said, multiple light bulbs went off. I also feel released of this burden that I share with Samara most every day. Like, this is so hard for me because I
Yeah.
feel like we're finally in a life of purpose and meaning, and we're having impact, and people are coming from wherever they are to get this message out. My life is in many ways more fulfilling and meaningful than it's ever been, but at such a tremendous cost.
And I'll tell you that same line again that saved my life, brother. Suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it has a purpose.
Yeah.
Such is
Yeah.
the meaning of sacrifice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
so
what it
what you're going through is building you, right? It's
yeah.
not breaking you, right?
Yeah.
There's a gift in every loss. On the other side of pain is greatness.
Yeah.
Every time. Every time, right? And
Yeah.
some things happen and some things are endured to put us in a position to change the world.
Mm.
Wow.
And you know, I I
Yeah.
I can't tell you how inspired I am by hearing your story and what you're doing. And it lets me know that what I'm doing has an effect, but you need to know that what you're doing has an effect. There
Thank
is
you.
another parent somewhere out there who has lost a child to suicide that doesn't know what to do. They're just spiraling.
Yeah.
And at some point, they're going to come across you and they're going to have hope.
We see them in the groups, and there's so much suffering, and there's a shared empathy that we can relate, right? Being in these parents of children who have been lost to suicide, and we could relate and empathize to their pain and loss. And it also creates so much suffering. And we're trying to share and exemplify that hope that could come from it. And man, I mean, just so much of what you've shared here is so profound. Go ahead.
Diamonds are made from pressure.
Yeah.
They undergo extreme amounts of fire and they come from the dirt, right? Like they come from some of the worst things in the world. And I understand and I know how it feels to think that pain is never going to go away, right? How it feels to feel like to be, I always say nobody ever goes to rock bottom twice. Right? Because when you find a lot of people try to use, because it's a kind of a catchphrase now
Right.
Yeah.
to be at rock bottom. But when you hit rock bottom, you're either going to end your life or change your life.
Gosh, well
You'll
said.
never go back.
Yeah.
There's no such thing. Because when you hit that lowest moment of your life, you either give up or you get up. And that's it. There's no other way about it. And I know the feeling like this pain's never going to go away, but it does. It does.
Yeah.
You just have to continue to go through the fire and the pressure to become that diamond, right? Because that pain is building you. It's not breaking you. You're unbreakable. There's nothing this world can throw at you that you can't handle until you choose to quit, right? It can suck, man. It's not fair. It sucks. It's uncalled for. It's brutal. It's ugly. It's messy. It's gross. But it can't break you. It can't stop you. The only time I look back and you see people that barely have a body, they don't even have a neck. They don't have arms. They don't have legs, and their body is this massive whatever disease riddled through their body, and they're motivational speakers.
Yes.
They're out on stages telling people about love and kindness and happiness, right? You're unbreakable. If you're alive and breathing, you're unbreakable, man. And that's what I've come to take loss and pain. And while I don't know the loss of a child, I've lost very close people in my life.
Yes.
And drug addictions, overdoses, and I'm probably going to get some hate mail for that too. Like, you can't compare that. Stop comparing, right? That pain feels like it's just overwhelming. It's never going to go away. It just makes you stronger, right? It doesn't have to be a waste. The loss doesn't have to be a waste, right? That loss can stand for something so much more. Otherwise, it is a waste, right?
You're absolutely right. And it can't be a waste because lives are at stake. When you
Facts.
said, this year, 500,000 people will die, 500,000 people will die, 80% of which are men. I just saw something 4 or 5 days ago that we're actually at the 500,000 point halfway through the year. So we're now
already
tracking.
there.
Yeah, we're already there. So we're tracking for 1 million in 2025. And for us, losing Anthony in this way, we felt there were lives at stake, and that led us to the birth of this Endurant movement. For you, it's been conversations of redemption. And can you take us into that turning point where your personal story became a platform for something collective?
Yeah. So when I got out of the penitentiary, I got into music when I got out this time. So music has always been an escape for me. Like, got my Washburn right there. like the
Yeah.
acoustic guitar and just singing. It's just, it's again, your voice is people underestimate the power of this thing,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
right? And singing a song, prayer, all of these things that you use your voice for are so healing.
Yeah.
And so I got out and I got into music, and very quickly did very well.
Mm.
Got signed to. I met a band and built a band in 9 days. 90 days later, signed to a label, off touring, doing shows around the U.S. It's not a big band. I mean, we're doing little local venues and cutting your bones, but you're touring, right? Like
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm headlining a show in Chicago and in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh and like these, and there's crowds of people that are here for my band. So I went from this very lonely existence to all of a sudden I'm like this rock star. And so
Yeah.
I started to lose sight of what my calling was in life, to teach people to learn, because
Mm.
Mike Tyson said it best: everybody has
Yeah.
a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yes.
Well, the day before you get out of prison, you have a plan, right? Like you're like, I'm going to do my push-ups, brush my teeth, make my coffee in the morning. I'm going to sit down and go through my very rigid habits. I'm ready to go. I'm going to get out tomorrow. I'm going to start changing the world, blah blah blah. And then you get out and you realize, like, oh man, okay, wait, hold up. Here's life. Here's real life happening here. Hold up. This is a car, and you're just you're like a dog that's chasing traffic. Like everything you see is like, wow, I've never seen that. Oh, that's amazing, and you lose it. And then on top of it, you get on a stage, and tons of people are there, like, I lost sight,
Mm.
and I mean, I had my fair share of wins and losses, and when COVID hit, I started YouTubing. Never
Wow.
done it before, I never really got into it, but I was laying on my couch and I saw No Life Shack doing a music reaction, and I'm like, "This guy has 1,000,000 subscribers, and all he's doing is watching music videos. I mean, I can do that. What else am I gonna do? We're on lockdown, there's nothing else to do."
Yeah.
So I
Right.
went downstairs and I jumped on and I made the worst possible reaction video known to man, and it got like 5,000 views, and I'm like,
Mm.
Well, okay." Did it again, and within, 3 months, I had 50,000 subscribers around the world, and I had a big fan base, and I had a team of people that had jumped in and helping edits and run Discords and moderators and all this stuff, and I mean, I was making good money. I was making really good money, aside
Yeah.
from the government checky check that's coming in every month because we're all on lockdown. I'm
Yeah.
making my own independent $5 to $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
And so in that, I'm getting my musical fix and my music therapy, but then I start realizing, like, I have this global audience. If
Mm.
some of you are out there hurting, let me tell you a little story. And started to talk about my life, what I'd been through,
Uh,
where I've been, and next thing you know, it turns into like a podcast. And like, hey, let's bring people in and show. I get so sick of bad news, because that's all the news ever
oh,
shows is horrible
oh,
things,
yeah.
that I went on this mission. I started a show called The Morning Brew, and we did it every day, 4 seasons, from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m., 5 days a week.
Wow.
And literally, me and my other co-host would get on and we would scour the internet for good, positive, happy news in the world. And that's it. We were
Scour, you had to
basically,
scour it. Yep.
yeah, we're basically like a happy news network, right? Where we're just going to
Yeah.
come on, we're going to talk about happy stuff in life, just to try to give people hope.
Yeah.
And then that's when my story started to really resonate with people. But then I realized, I was in a relationship I didn't want to be in. And so I left her. And that's when life really went south. This girl was not in the best mental state. And really, but we had a son. And so I ended up homeless. All my stuff was destroyed. And I used this as a moment, as an opportunity. I'm like, even when everything falls apart, you only lose when you quit. And this is my
Mhm.
point. This is now, not only am I talking about it, because anybody can talk a good game, right? People can learn how to talk well,
Yeah.
but I'm going to show you in real time. I don't have anything. I'm staying on a buddy's couch in Florida who bought me a plane ticket. I don't have a home to go to. I don't have anything. Watch this. And within 60 days, I had my own new apartment, had a car, had everything set back up, started to go running because you only lose when you quit. You can just put good into the world and manifest the life you want to live. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And so going through it, and of course, just when we're back, everything's getting really good. My YouTube channel gets hacked and they post pornography at 3 in the morning and my entire
Oh,
income
no.
source is gone. And then my house is getting broke into and people are destroying my stuff and destroying my vehicles. And I'm like, okay. And then my booking agent says, man, I got a podcast I found in England that you should be on. It's called Boot Camp for the Mind and Soul. I think you should check it out. And so he booked me on there. And the moment that I started to have a conversation with this woman in England, I'm like, there's something so significant and special about you. This is the first time I ever talked about being raped in prison, was with
Mm.
her on that show. And I just felt so comfortable being vulnerable with her. And, fast forward 4 years later, she's my everything. And she moved here from England. We're happily together and we have a beautiful life. We've built a business. And she has empowered me. One day she said, you need to write your story in a book. It could really reach so many more people because I stopped the YouTubing thing. I just got so overwhelmed with it. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm only doing things that I'm driven by passion for. So I started volunteering in the juvenile facilities and got on a committee with Riverside County Probation Department. And this is what I want to do with my life.
Mm.
I'm not a performing monkey on YouTube. I'm going to chase my passion, and someday that will start paying off and will pay my bills. Right? I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by service. And so I know that leading with a pure heart in service will take care of your finances, right? Because the universe
Mhm.
will provide for you. And so I started to see that. After we put my book out, I started going everywhere, just volunteering my time nonstop in shelters and recovery centers and giving speeches to, Michael's house's 30th anniversary. It's all for recovery. And I've never had a drug problem or an alcohol problem, but I know what it's like to have a problem. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it all comes from trauma. It all stems from the same thing. And so I was the keynote speaker for that. I've been hired by Bianca Ray Foundation and these middle schools and teen centers where I go in and I just teach these kids like you know, 1 in 6 boys are molested, 1 in 4 girls are abused. I'm in a room full, with 200 students. Guess what? Do the math. Right? Somebody in here needs to hear and needs to know that you are going to make it. You are going to survive. You are okay. This is your healing mechanism, and this can stop your abuse. This can stop anything you're going through. It can be a savior for somebody else. It can inspire someone else. It can save someone else. It can save you. This thing can build nations and it can destroy civilizations, right? This thing has so much power, and I teach them to use that power. And that's just been the trajectory of that ever since. And it's been growing and growing. And now I've gotten to the point where I've never gone out of the country, and my wife and I we've worked really hard the last 4 years here to build the businesses that we have.
Yeah.
And we're like, we need a break. My wife
Yeah.
finally got her green card, and we're like, you know what? Let's take a vacation. And we booked a month in Europe. So, well, about
Nice.
3 weeks in Europe. And it was halfway through that my wife said, you know what? You've never done anything on your own before. And I haven't. My whole life was victimization up until I went to prison. Then it was prison, either physical or mental, until I was 35 years old. And I walked out. I was married, got a divorce in that, jumped into a relationship with a psycho, got out of that, jumped right into this relationship. I've never been alone.
Mm.
And she said, you have to. You have to go do something on your own, even at the risk of maybe you'll discover you want to be alone and it deteriorates this marriage. You still have to do it. And so I did. and here we go. And so I'm packing up my car, I'm taking my dog, and I'm going to 22 cities around the United States. And I'm just going to give people a platform to sit down and talk about your pain. And I'm going to talk about it with you. I'm going to show you how you can just speak this thing out and you're going to feel better afterwards, right? And it'll put you on the pathway to internal freedom. I promise you, if you keep doing it, you're going to be free. And the best part is, we're going to do it on a national scale so that everybody can see it and be inspired too.
That's amazing. I mean, wow. You're teaching others to find their voice and to stand up to their trauma, face it, and heal through it. I mean, we all need that. Every single one of us. I mean, there's not a soul on this planet that has a body that hasn't had some trauma. And so you really are stepping into service that's going to be helpful for every single one of us. So thank you so much for doing that. I mean, it's really incredible.
That's my goal. Again, if I don't, it's a waste, right?
Yeah.
All the pain and the trauma that I've endured, it's a waste. And I believe that the universe, whether you call him God, Odin, Buddha, Allah, Jehovah, whatever you call him, the universe used me
Yes.
to be a vessel of healing and hope.
Yeah.
And
you go ahead, please.
I embrace it, right? I embrace that. It's not just a blessing, because I can't tell you how freeing it is to be able to speak about my pain. Every time I do it, I heal a little bit more, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm fully healed or if there's still a little bit to go or whatever, but it's just the best. And if I don't, I feel like I just disrespect the legacy of the mentor that saved me and everybody out there that doesn't know how to heal, right? Like,
Yeah.
every single one of them are so worth it, right? Like,
And then it expands exponentially, because if you think about the way generational trauma works, getting into these places and helping these children heal through the traumas that they've been through, potentially preempting them passing that on for generation to generation. It's really profound. And I want to get into and understand your road trip and talk about some of those things, because they're so profound. And there's just one thing I really want to share. It's and I want to make sure I get it right, because I think it's one of the most powerful things I've ever heard. So I'm going to read it. But you had shared somewhere, it might have been on your podcast, but that we can change the world if we use our voice to put things on display that has caused us pain and trauma, and use our lives as stories, use our life as stories, as examples of what you can endure and how you can overcome. It's through forgiveness, through love, through compassion, through kindness, through bravery to use our voices, to tell our stories, to tell our truth. It's how you heal the world. It's how you heal yourself, how you inspire the world to heal. And it's such a powerful truth. And when did you realize that your pain had that kind of ripple power?
yeah, it's funny. It actually kind of goes back to uh, when I first tried my first motivational speech, and there's a video of it, and then the resulting comment a few years later, and it's kind of a ripple effect there. I put on a suit and plotted out this whole speech, and got a buddy to let me use his game store to do all this. I had one person showed up, and I gave that dude the speech of a lifetime, right? I poured my heart out, right? Like, and to know that this day that guy's life, he's a business owner, he employs people. At this time, he had called and he said, I've got cancer in 3 parts of my body. I have kids. I find it so hard to get up most days. And he said that to me before the speech. So the speech went out the window, which is still my mode of operandi to this day. I always plan a speech, and as soon as I hit the stage, I read the room, I throw it away, and I just go from the heart. So I don't ever have anything pre-planned. I do, I just don't ever use it. And so when he did that, I just spoke from my heart, and he healed his cancer. He built his business. He's got employees, and his life is good. And so when I see that, I'm like, dude, that's amazing. You can see the power of this thing. If I put my life on display, I can show you what you're capable of enduring. Right?
Mhm.
Most people think, oh, that would have broke me. No, it wouldn't. It would only break you if you allowed it to break you. It didn't have to
Mhm.
break you because there's people that have been through way worse than me, right? That have done really good things, have gone on to do really good things. They've been through way worse. It's the same thing I saw when I read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, when I read through this book and saw the absolute hell and torture this man went through. And the whole time he's inspiring other people to be better and establish the logotherapy and everything else that Viktor Frankl has done to go on to do in the world through that pain. And that's what I saw in that book is if that guy can endure that, I don't have an excuse. I can endure anything. And by
It's
putting our pain on display for the world, it shows just like you two have an opportunity. And as much as anybody would probably cuss me out and send me a bunch of bad comments for saying, how dare you refer to that as an opportunity? You
it's
have
an
an
opportunity.
opportunity to show other parents that you can endure.
Yes. Yes.
It hurts like hell, man. It sucks, but it doesn't have to break you.
Doesn't.
Right? And
Yeah.
that by you two putting your pain on display and showing the world, you're going to save so many lives from hell, from despair, from depression, from tears, just from so much. And you are exactly what I'm talking about when I said that. When I make that statement, you two are exactly what I'm talking about. Own it. Put it out on display. Let the world see how much it sucks. It hurts so bad. But you know what? Every tear that comes out is one step closer to my healing. And so I will pour these things out as much as they come. I'll let them go because I'm getting closer. Every time I'm getting closer. And the best part is that one of you are now going to realize that you can get closer too. And so it's worth it. It's worth it for me to cry. It's worth it for me to be hurt and to feel that for just a moment. If it inspires you to know that you can make it because you can. Yeah. And
Not only
that's where the motivation comes from for me. And when I get these messages from moms and from kids and from sisters and
yeah.
brothers that are like, dude, you just literally just saved my life. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, it's worth it. It's the yes. Yes, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. If you put your pain on display, you're going to save a life and you're going to heal yourself. It's not an opinion.
This is so powerful and not only validating because sometimes I struggle with the thoughts, the story that, oh, we're just grieving parents and this and that. But what you've shared is not only validating, I feel even more energized and certain that we're on the right track with this movement. And I
Dude,
want to thank you for that.
of course. Thank you, man. You are
Yeah.
100% on. The worst thing you ever could have done at the loss of your son was sink into a hole,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
It was to be
Yeah.
quiet, is to go about your life, go get your 9 to 5 and live your life in the bottom of a bottle and be depressed, right? That's the worst thing you could do. The
Well,
best thing you can do is make that loss the most profitable gain for the world ever,
Mm.
Well,
right?
thank you. And it's so powerful because we had the opportunity to interact with your wife first through Nicolette, and she is everything that you've described. She's the most amazing woman, and I
Yeah.
feel the same way. Samara inspires me and has those conversations in the same way. And the stuff that you guys are up to with the neurodiverse cafe in Palm Springs and understanding that you're going out on this road trip in the book. Please tell who knows how big or small our audience will be, or maybe someday someone will listen to this, but how can our listeners meet you in what cities you are, participate in what you're doing? How can we get even more of what you're sharing out?
Yeah. So first of all, I don't care if it's just the three of us that ever hear this conversation, right?
Me too.
What's happened here is so worth my time, right?
Yeah.
Like
Thank
just to
you.
know that even an inkling of the time that you've spent with me might give you some kind of hope.
Mm.
Oh,
Dude, it's worth it. And y'all have inspired me, right? To see
thank you.
how strong humans can be. It's like, I was right. I told you. Right? Like
You were.
you too are why I do what I do. You're exactly what I'm talking about. And so again, I don't care if we're the only ones that ever see it.
Me
But
too.
so I started a YouTube channel. It's under my name. I actually deleted my YouTube channel with, almost 15,000 people on there. I was just like, you know what? That's out. I'm starting a new one. And so on my Instagram, I'm still not technologically savvy on all these social media platforms. I'm trying. And most people be like, "Oh, dude, you're full of it." I literally just do the same thing every day, right? I do the same thing that I always do, and it's just now I think catching on. But Instagram is where I will post most of the dates. I mean, I've already got them out. I've got the tour schedule out, and the tour dates are out there, and all the cities that I'm going to be in. But I don't have. It's a passion project, right? Like I didn't, like I haven't paid for it. I don't. I don't have venues set up. I haven't gone in advance. I might end up just setting up on the side of the street somewhere and go and find somebody in a bar that's like, dude, you look sad, man. Let's have a conversation, bro. Let's talk. Right. Those are the people that I want to speak to. I want to speak to the people that are lost, that need that help.
Yeah.
And so you can find it on my website as well, sonnyvoncleveland.com. And it's just Sonny Von Cleveland official on everything. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I will post it on there. And I have a few projects in the works. Just so this show, I'm going to go to every city I go to. I'm talking about the trauma and the abuse of the city as well. That what it's gone through. Because if you look at a city, it is a shining example of what perseverance looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Phoenix, it's called Phoenix because it was burnt to the ground and built again. It's got socioeconomic disparity on an epic level. It's gone through racism, separatism. It's the leader in the country in evictions, the homelessness, the drugs. It's overrun with these things, and yet it's the fastest growing city in the United States. It's one of the most beautiful things to look at from the outside, and you look in, and it's beautiful. So all that beauty and all that wealth and everything that's there is on a foundation of pain. And that's the same with us. It's the same with human beings, right? Like we are where we are because of the pain that we have endured, right? That's what has shaped us. I'm telling you, your happy moments and your good moments in life, those aren't what shaped you. What shaped you was the pain that you've gone through, because that's where your lessons were. Right? When's the last time you got something really good that happened and you sat down trying to figure out why it happened? Where did this come from? Why did this happen to me? This was so unfair that this amazing thing just happened, and I want to know why. You don't. You just accept it and you're happy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, amazing, blessing, thank you, blessing, blessing. And you move on. But when pain happens, you want to know why. What's the genesis? Where did it come from? That's so unfair. I need to know why that happened. And some people hold on to that need to know why their whole life.
Yes.
And it blocks them from the beauty of existing, right? From being a human being. It blocks you because you're spending your whole life trying to figure out why. And at the end of the day, as cold and callous as it sounds, it doesn't matter why. Because knowing why isn't going to change it. It's not going to take it back. Me knowing why this dude raped me when I'm 6 years old isn't going to change the fact that he raped me when I'm 6 years old, right? I don't need to know why. It doesn't matter why. The fact is it happened. I go back, I'm going to find out how I can forgive and let it go, and I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to take the lesson from it because that shaped me.
Yeah.
Because now I understand what it's like to be a rape victim. So I am now better positioned to help a rape victim heal, right? I'm not going to go into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting and try to tell people how to kick a narcotics habit because I've never had a narcotics habit. I'll go in there and tell you about healing and understanding and acceptance and forgiveness. If I can do that, I'll be observed. But I'm not going to sit here and try to play like I know how to help you heal a narcotics addiction, right? And so I'm also a big fan of the Stoics. And Marcus Aurelius once said that everything that goes into the fire becomes fuel for the fire. Everything that we endure in life, everything that happens, every circumstance, it builds us into the people that we are. And we get to choose how that's going to look. We get to choose whether we're strong people or if we're weak people, if we're going to allow something to build us, or if we're going to allow it to break us. But everything that goes into that path is experiential, and it's just part of this journey that you get the blessing to exist. Period. The purpose of life is to live. Period. Right?
My man, some of the most extraordinary people that I've been fortunate to meet throughout my life, there's one thing that they all have in common. They can't help themselves from helping. And you are just beaming, exuding all of that. There's this opportunity to share what you're doing, where people can come and see you and get real specific about it. And amidst all that, the things, and maybe it is just the three of us. Samara and I literally spent the last dollar of our life savings a couple of weeks ago, but we just know, we feel with certainty we're out there, we're getting this, making this happen. And the idea that all that you've been through, that you're going to go out on this road and figure it out and impact these people. And the reminder that, like, it doesn't matter why this person raped you when you were 6, you know, we don't get asked it as much, but we get asked so often, why do you think this happened? Why do you think this happened? What? We're like, we don't know why. It doesn't matter. This is what's happened, and this is what we've been called to do. And I can't thank you enough. I'm looking to pick you off at one of these cities and come see you, you know, wherever you are, and make this happen.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, you are a true brother on the journey.
Thank you, my friend. It's just something I almost feel like I don't have a choice. Like, I have to do this. I have to. There's so many people. It's appalling, especially, you know, I just partnered up with Operation Light Shine. And we went to Jacksonville, Florida, and so blessed to be able to have a hand in saving 25 kids from human trafficking. Like, it was so profound. And then to learn the ignorance level of the United States, and I don't say that meanly, I just say it as a matter of factly, but 70% of the United States can't name one single anti-child trafficking organization. Can you?
Operation Underground Railroad. We know that one. We've worked with them.
So you have separated yourself, right? Most people can't because they don't know that they exist. Right.
Yeah.
And one of the most profound things that I said to these agents in this operation was, you were the heroes that I needed when I was a kid. And I spent most of my life hating you because I didn't know that you existed.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many kids out here that are being abused right now. And they have no hope because they don't realize there are thousands of agents that are out there trying to find them. They don't know that because you can't see them. They can't be public about it, because if they're public about it, the predators are going to run away. So they're very quiet. And these men and women are killing themselves to save these kids. They're becoming alcoholics. They're becoming depressed. They literally have to watch and ingest this content all day to help find and locate these kids. And then when they find and locate the kids, CPS comes and takes the kids away. So they don't even get to see what happened to the kid that they saved. They just go on to the next one. And it's a never-ending cycle. And the government doesn't help, right? They give $40 billion a year to battling drugs, and they give $250 million a year to anti-trafficking and child protection. What sense does that make? 40 billion? Because you can see the drug addicts. You see them. You see the homeless. They're begging for your change on the corners. You see them. You don't see the kids that are being abused. You don't see it, so you don't think about it, right? And so this huge disparity, here's a newsflash. When that 250 million runs out, there's still a bunch of kids that aren't getting help, and they become the part of the $40 billion problem that you're trying to fix. Right? So if we allocate some of that 40 billion over here where we're severely underfunded, these kids don't grow up to be those people. We get to save these kids. It just blows my mind how that we don't address that in this world. So after this thing in Jacksonville, I've now partnered officially with Operation Light Shine to raise awareness, to help get this stuff funded, because there's amazing human beings like Tim Tebow in this world that donate millions of dollars a year out of his own money
And
to
time.
fight this.
Yeah.
And more people need to do that. And so I'm now taking that. I'm starting an apparel line called Survivor Gear. And it's to help people that have been through abuse and trauma identify themselves as survivors and be proud. Like you shouldn't be ashamed of pain you didn't ask for. Right. And so Survivor Gear will be the ability to recognize that somebody else is a survivor. Like my flagship shirt is going to say, I wear my, and then heart is written down here. So I wear my heart on my sleeve. And so but I'm going to donate 20% of every piece of clothing that is sold to anti-child trafficking and child protection, to Operation Light Shine and the National Child Protection Task Force, because they need it.
Wonderful. Yes.
And so that's why we're doing that. And so if anybody does see this and they're interested in helping, I do have like a feed Sophie for a day, $5, because my dog's going on the journey with me.
Nice.
You can gas me up from city to city. I have a Zelle and I have a PayPal. I have a Cash App. I suck at asking people for money. I'm really bad at it. But it's there. The option to donate and help is available if somebody wants to, but
And so you're going to be sharing that on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
And this is really important, you guys. I mean, let's stop watching the news. The woman, Nicole, who sent me Sonny on Instagram, like this, I watch every day, and I'm so excited to see about your journey and these opportunities to contribute. You got to find him. And this is what we all need to be consuming and experiencing every day.
This
And
is
thank you.
life-changing stuff, man.
Thank you for using your voice
Yeah.
and for owning your voice and your power and your strength in the voice, and offering others an invitation to use their voice.
Well, thank you guys for using your voice. You are exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just let your heart lead you. Right. And the rest will follow. Right. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. And please thank your dear wife. We're so grateful to have you. Yeah.
And when I get back, we're all in Southern California, man. We'll do dinner.
Yes.
We'd love that very much. All four of us. It's a double date. It's on. And we will see you out on the road for sure.
Sonny, this is your book, Hey White Boy. Tell us about your book and where our listeners can find it.
So this is Hey White Boy, Conversations of Redemption, and it chronicles my life. It's available on Amazon.com. You can also order it through Barnes & Nobles or Ingram Sparks. But the goal is to get it on the shelves in Barnes & Nobles. We just did a book signing and a book reading at Barnes & Nobles. It was really successful. But Amazon.com is probably the easiest and quickest way to get a hold of it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Very
much.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Sonny Von Cleveland for sharing his powerful truth and for showing us what redemption looks like when it's lived and not just spoken. Like I said, this man can't help himself but to help. And Sonny's story reminds us that healing doesn't mean erasing the past. It means owning it, transforming it, and choosing over and over again to rise with purpose. If his story moved you, you can learn more at sonnyvoncleveland.com. Follow his journey with me on tour or support his work in creating trauma-informed spaces for healing. If you're in the messy middle of your own story, know this: there is no timeline for rising, and there is no shame in still being on the way. You are not alone. To support the Endurant Show and help us keep these stories alive, visit endurantmovement.org. Every donation helps us bring more truth, more tools, and more healing into the world. And if someone you love is struggling, remember, help is always available. In the US, you can call or text 988 for free, confidential support. And until next time, keep rising. Keep choosing truth, and know that legacy isn't built in one moment. It's built in every choice we make to begin again.
Thank you for listening to The Endurant Show. If this conversation moved you, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. To view the conversations, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And to be a part of the community, follow us at Endurant Movement. And lastly, if you feel called to support the movement and help us ensure no teen ever feels alone again, visit endurantmovement.org to learn more, and if you can, make a donation. Together we can create lasting change, one conversation, one connection at a time.